Welcome to the LDN radio show, brought to you by the LDN Research Trust. I'm your host, Linda Elseygood. I have an exciting lineup of guest speakers who are LDN experts in their field. We will be discussing low-dose naltrexone and its many uses in autoimmune diseases, cancers, etc. Thank you for joining us. Town Total Compounding Centre at 415 Crossways Park Drive in Woodbury, New York, provide quality compounded medication, including low-dose naltrexone. By working closely with you and your prescriber, enhancing outcomes and providing precision care, compounding allows the pharmacist to individualise the medication for your specific needs. Visit towntotalcompound.com. Today my guest is Pharmacist Joseph Navarra, who is the owner of Town Total Compounding Centre in Woodbury, New York. Thank you for joining us today, Joseph.
Oh, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Before we start, could you give us your background, please?
Sure. I'm a pharmacist. I've been practicing compounding for over 25 years. I graduated from St. John's University in Queens, over here in New York. And I got into compounding basically in the early 90s to help pediatric HIV patients. And when there weren't dosage forms around that the children could swallow, we would make them into suspensions or lozenges or even candies, whatever it would take to get the HIV medications in. And then I developed my compounding practice from there, and we opened a compounding-only facility in 2011, and we just moved to a brand-new lab here in Woodbury 6 months ago, and all we do now is compounding.
Wow. So when did you actually start compounding LDN? Was it back in the late 80s, early 90s?
It was more the late 90s, early 2000s. I had a clinic that was brand new opening up in Manhattan, not too far from my compounding center where I was then. And they came to me, and they were doing fertility. They're doing using the NAPRO technology, the natural fertility, and they wanted to know if I can do this low-dose naltrexone. At the time, I haven't heard anything about it, but I looked into it and researched it really quick, and I started doing it back then. So my original foray into low-dose naltrexone was for fertility patients.
Mm-hmm. And your new compounding facility, what states can you actually service?
Well, we're licensed in the adjoining states around New York, so we can service Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Rhode Island right now. We're working on some other states now also, depending on how the business grows.
Mm-hmm. And what forms of LDN do you make?
We're currently doing capsules, troches, and we have just started a patient recently on a solution that she wanted to try. Mm-hmm. So those are the ones we do. The majority is capsules, though.
Okay. And what filler do you use in your capsules?
We use the carboxymethylcellulose pH-105 filler. Mm-hmm. That's what's usually recommended for it.
Okay. And when you first start a patient on LDN, has anybody reported any negative side effects?
Yeah, the biggest thing is sleep for some reason. That would be the biggest side effect. But normally I tell them just, last for the first week or two of the low dose that you're going to be on, normally a 1.5 or 2 milligram dose. And if you get to that, then normally when you increase the dose, you're fine with that. So that would be the biggest complaint that I've had with the side effects on it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I've really had some really good success side effect-wise.
Good. So since, let's say, the early 2000s, you were helping compound LDN for the fertility clinics, would you say fertility is the main thing you do, or would you say that it has, widened the scope of what you're compounding LDN for?
Oh, no, yeah. Fertility was just the first thing that I was compounding LDN for. I have a number of Lyme disease patients on it now. We sponsor some programs from some local CRPS clinics that we deal with. So we're using it for pain. We use it for Crohn's disease, endometriosis. We've even had a couple of patients with migraines on it. So I guess the biggest ones currently now are fertility, Lyme disease, pain, and Crohn's disease. That would be the top 4 that we're currently using it for.
Okay, so if we can talk about Lyme patients for a minute. I mean, these people are usually very sick to start with, very ultra sensitive, in my opinion, to any medication, LDN included in that. How do you go about helping those patients?
Well, we have all my pharmacists know how to compound it and how to counsel for it. So patients can come in, we can sit them down, we can go over actually all their medications, not just the LDN medications, because we don't provide their commercial products, but we do get a list of them. So we'll go through what any kind of interactions might be between them. We may even recommend dosage changing on some of the commercial products, depending on what they're on and what their diagnosis is. But we're here constantly for them. They can call us anytime, during our business hours, or they can either shoot us an email or even look us up on Facebook, and we usually answer if we're closed within about an hour to any of those type of questions or problems that patients may be having. So we have some pretty good access here for the patients to call us with any kind of questions or problems they may be experiencing.
And do you assist people with supplements as well?
We do. We don't carry any supplements here, but we do have access to them, or we do refer them to pharmacies that do have that don't compound, that do have the supplements that they may need. So although we don't provide the supplements, we can provide them access to them.
Okay. And what have the outcomes been for patients with Lyme disease on LDN?
I've had great outcomes. We take surveys of our patients with different disease states, not just for low-dose naltrexone, but for other compounds we do. And the low-dose naltrexone is one of them that probably have some of the best outcomes and the longest term that the patients may be on them. So, I mean, I have patients on LDN at this point for years, and even some of them will go off it for a period of time, and then they go right back on. I've had patients say to me they can't go off of it because, they just instantly don't feel as well as they did while they're on it. And I've had patients that say even their labs, they'll do labs on my Lyme disease side where they may or may not feel better or worse on LDN, but the lab values show a difference when they're on the LDN. So, I've had some very good success with it.
Well, it's really interesting that you explained there about people coming off LDN, because I'm often asked, I'm not sure whether LDN's working for me. What will happen if I stop? So I think that answers that question quite nicely. How long do the patients normally stop before decide to restart after they've stopped? The period of time they're off it?
I'm going to say probably within a month or so. I think what happens sometimes is patients are feeling better, that they're feeling good, and they kind of forget what they felt like before being on it. And so they don't really realize that staying on it is beneficial for them. So when they do go off, then all of a sudden symptoms come back from what they were previously experiencing, like, oh yeah, that's right, that's why I'm on it. And then they usually come right back on it again.
And for those people that are wondering, what happens when you stop, and do you have to titrate it down, the dose? Can you just stop? What is the advice you give to patients on that?
I've had patients just stop. My fertility patients, once they're pregnant, they just stop. In that case, with no adverse effects. If the patient is on multiple medications for different reasons, like say pain or something like that, then normally I tell them to titrate down. But some of them are on it for specific periods of time and then stopping at that point. I haven't seen any issues with them just stopping the medication. But I do recommend if they are on multiple medications, especially if they're using it for some kind of pain syndrome that they want to titrate down just to make sure that coming off the medication is proper for them.
Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned you have patients with Crohn's disease. What have the outcomes of that been?
Very good. I've had this one particular patient who had stopped and actually had an episode.
Really?
Within a month of stopping it. And I have another patient who is actually a prescriber, and they've been looking. They haven't had an episode in a long time, but they've been talking to me about how fast I can get them in low dose naltrexone if they do have an episode, because they are very interested in trying it if they're having an issue or a problem.
Mm-hmm. I think the answer is, if you've got Crohn's disease, to start it and not come off it, and keep it all at bay would be
right.
Seems like a good idea to me. And you talked about pain. And you said that you worked with the chronic pain people. What do you suggest for those patients that are on opiate-based painkillers and would like to try LDN?
Well, I do work with the doctors very closely with this. So we do want to start them very slow and very low. So those would be the patients that start on a very much lower dose to see if any effects occur with the current medications, if they're on opioids or whatnot. So those patients we start a lot slower and titrate up a lot slower than our other patients with some of our other disease states. But I do work with the doctor. We go over the medication with them, and then we start low. We'll start like maybe a 0.5 milligram for a week or so, and then go up to a 1 milligram, and then a 1.5, like that. But I think a majority of my patients reach about 4.5 milligrams that are on, multiple medications with that. But, they're sleeping better. Sleep helps healing. It helps the brain, regenerate and things like that. And if they could just take the edge off the pain a little bit, it just helps them work much better. And I have, patients with, multiple drugs that are on a couple of my compounds, including low-dose naltrexone, that have gone back to school, gone back to work. They come and pick the medication up now instead of where I don't deliver it to them. And we sponsor a yearly CRPS walkathon, and we have a booth, and people come by all the time talking about how much better they are with low-dose naltrexone and some of the other things that we do for them.
Mm-hmm. And do people actually tell you their pain levels, how they drop? Would you know that data?
I don't have the data on that, but that's actually very interesting. It's probably something I'll look into on one of my next interviews with my patients. That would be a good marker to get from them. But, definitely people who are working more, going back to school, picking up their medications, those markers have to be way down than what they were previously, staying at home.
Yes. And as you were saying, if the pain isn't there and you are able to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, even if the pain is there, you're still going to feel a lot better than as if you'd been awake all night in pain. So that has to be a good thing, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And for the pain, do you suggest they take anything else alongside of LDN?
A lot of patients, when they come to me, they're already taking medications, for whatever their issue is. So we try to work with the doctor. These are patients who don't want to go on more medication. They want to increase their doses of what they're taking, especially with the regional pain syndromes. A lot of times it spreads and gets worse. So we try to help them either maintain or back off of some of the medications if possible. Mm-hmm. So again, we work very closely with the doctors in that kind of situation.
Do any of the doctors allow their patients to use opiate-based painkillers at the same time as taking LDN?
They do. Some of them are on it, and again, it just goes back to increasing the dosing very low, starting the dosing very low, and then increasing slowly, and with close monitoring. And then I think one of the biggest goals is to hopefully either reduce what the patient's taking and or not increase, or add any other medication to what they're taking, depending on what their their issue is.
That's very interesting, because we're always told that you shouldn't take opiate-based painkillers at the same time as LDN, as in you shouldn't have both in your system at the same time. So I'm just wondering, the doctors that you're working with, do they have a gap between taking the opioid and the LDN?
A gap is like where the patient goes off the opioid altogether, or the LDN altogether. It's more or less. It's more or less one goes up and the other goes down. Is what I'm seeing over here in this area.
Okay. So, are you saying that they do have both in their system at the same time, even though the dose is very, very low?
Some of the patients, yes, that would be correct.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That is something new. We'll have to try and find somebody who will talk to us about that. That would be quite interesting in the findings there. But to get off opiate-based painkillers has to be a goal for a lot of people. They
absolutely is. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, are finding it very difficult, I think, to get some prescribers to prescribe heavy-duty opioids now, and they're not. Apart from being addictive, they're not very good for your organs either, are they? Like morphine and things.
No. Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, if LDN can replace those medications without the side effects and be effective, and of course it's cheaper. It's a win-win for everybody, isn't it, really?
A win-win all around. Better outcomes for the doctor, better outcomes for the patient. It's better for the patient's family. It's better for everybody.
And autoimmune diseases other than Crohn's disease that we've talked about, do you have any patients for other conditions?
Currently, just the Crohn's disease that we have listed currently under our thing. We are currently out there marketing it for other issues.
Yeah.
But right now, we don't have any other patients other than the Crohn's disease.
You mentioned endometriosis, and I myself thought that my endometriosis had disappeared after being on LDN for a while, and it wasn't until I spoke to Dr. Phil Boyle, who has a fertility clinic, and he then was putting all the pieces together of the jigsaw puzzle, and it was the LDN that had actually helped, not because of how old I was. And I was thinking I was outgrowing it, and then I was somebody who started going in and having D&Cs and so on since I was 17. So it'd been going on, and I'm 61 now. I'd been having operations on and off throughout my life of one kind or another. So it's been quite amazing from that aspect myself. Do you have many patients taking it for endometriosis?
I do have a handful of patients. It's probably about 3 or 4, if I can count. And actually, they're on, if I'm thinking properly, they're long-term people. They're on it for a long time, for a while.
Well, you certainly wouldn't want to, if you had it under control, you wouldn't want it to come back. I don't know if anybody's aware of what endometriosis is, but it is an awful thing that it rules your life. It really does. It's an awful thing to have. So, yeah, I find myself very, very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah.
I've got MS, and that's the reason why I take LDN, and I've been taking it since 2003, the 3rd of December. So I've had my anniversary and I've missed it.
Past your anniversary.
Yes.
Very cool.
But like he was saying, you do forget how you were before LDN, but I can still remember, and probably not all the details clearly, but there is no way that I would stop taking LDN, because I would hate to have a relapse or even go back.
You'll be reminded quickly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
How long do you think you could stop taking LDN for before you notice the adverse effects from not taking it, do you think?
I think, talking to some of my patients, it's probably average about a month or so. It's not that long before you start feeling or seeing some symptoms come back of what you were taking it for in the first place.
Well, that's reassuring for some people, because I have people panicking. I forgot to take my LDN last night. Is it going to make me ill? Should I take it now? Should I take a double dose? This kind of thing. So if you've missed a dose, or for some reason or other you were away and you've missed a day or two before you could get your next script filled, there is really no need to panic, is there, in the very short term?
Yeah, absolutely not. If you're going to miss a dose or two or a weekend, I wouldn't be concerned about it. I think sometimes people's nerves are a little bit worse just thinking about, missing the dose. But I tell my patients, if you're away, you forget your medication for a weekend or whatnot, just start it again like you normally would next time you have it in hand, and you'll be fine.
Yes. So that's very helpful for those people who are concerned for missing the odd dose.
Yes.
So could you tell us more about your new facility that you've got there in Woodbury?
Yeah, absolutely. We just built a brand new 4,000 square foot facility. It has a 4-chamber clean room, which includes a 797 and 800 compliant rooms. We also have a 800 compliant non-sterile room. So we also PCAB accredited, so we're an accredited facility. And we follow USP 795, 797, and 800 over here, which are the FDA which the FDA likes us to follow for regulations. Mm-hmm. And we're growing. We're in the middle of hiring some more people, and we just really enjoy what we're doing. It's really customized medication specific for the patient. It's helping keep patients healthy. Mm-hmm. And that's what we like to do here.
And what's your website address?
It's www.towntotalcompound.com. You can also follow us on Facebook at Town Total Compound also. Mm-hmm.
And is there a telephone number on your website where people can call you?
Absolutely. The phone number is 516-249-7436. And there's also a contact form, an email can be sent through the website also to us.
Mm-hmm. And can people actually come and visit you at the facility?
We encourage it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We love people to come by. Patients can pick up here. We're in an office building, so it's very private. We have a private consultation room if anybody needs consultations. And I'm always willing to show. We have a window. The lab's sealed off, but we do have windows into the lab, so patients can actually come and watch the medication being made.
Mm-hmm. I think that's always fascinating.
Yeah, me too. I still do.
Dr. Mark Mandel took me to his pharmacy, and some of the things were... I was expecting it to be all done by hand, but some of the things were done by machine, and it was just mind-blowing. Yep. I think it's very, very interesting, and especially to be able to see where your own medications have been compounded. It's a great thing. We have, we have machines that mix powders and creams together to get really exact dosing and stuff. It's something I've always liked to do, mm-hmm. and I've been doing it for over 25 years. And once I opened the compounding center, it was a goal of mine to get this to where we are today. Oh, well done! It must have been a long, hard, difficult road, but you got there, so that's good.
Yes, no, very rewarding too at the same time. So,
mm-hmm. Just as a quick by the way, Dr. Jill Smith, when she did her Crohn's disease trials, she found that some people had issues with their gut, their stomachs, with capsules, and she got them to take sublingual, which is obviously absorbed differently. Maybe as you get more patients, you might actually have to do some sublingual as well. And
yeah, we do. We make the sublingual troches, so we do have a couple patients on the sublinguals.
Right, okay. And then children with autism quite often have the cream, LDN cream. But I'm sure any formulation that any of your patients are likely to need, you would be able to make it for them.
We can, yes. So if there's a formulation someone's looking for, a strength someone's looking for, be it cream or a capsule or a solution, they can give us a call, and we'll work it out with the doctor, with them, and with the patient too. And we could flavor the troches or flavor the solutions for them, depending on what their likes and dislikes are. So we're very easy in the way of customizing the medication specifically for that, what that patient's needs are.
I mean, the naltrexone itself, when it's turned into liquid to make liquid LDN, is rather bitter. So I think having a flavour to disguise that awful taste is not a bad idea.
Right. Yeah, we use some of the stronger flavor. We have a bitter suppressor, but we also use some stronger flavors, like a peppermint sometimes helps, things like that. So we have a list of flavors that are listed for certain type of not so well tasting medications.
Yes. I mean, over here our liquid LDN is 1 ml per 1 milligram. Do you do a similar?
Well, we've been doing a 2 milligram per 5.
Okay. So, how do they measure it to take an ultra low dose, say at 0.5?
Well, we do. Let's see. I've got my computer up here. We do actually do a 1 milligram per ml and a 2 milligram per 5. So we depends what the patient needs. So we do both. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, that's fine.
Check that.
That's fine.
Yep.
Well, what can I say? It's been amazing talking to you today, and thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Town Total Compounding Centre at 415 Crossways Park Drive in Woodbury, New York, provide quality compounded medication, including low-dose naltrexone. By working closely with you and your prescriber, enhancing outcomes and providing precision care, compounding allows the pharmacist to individualise the medication for your specific needs. Visit towntotalcompound.com. Any questions or comments you may have, please email me, Linda, Linda, at ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciated your company. Until next time, stay safe and keep well.